My question is about units of individualized consciousness. If we have a choice between love and fear, why would a unit of individualized consciousness choose fear?
Because we are not beings of love yet. We have that potential. You know, it's just like before I talked about the question. It's not that we know everything yet. We just have the potential. We have the capacity. It's out there. Our job is to become love. It's within our reach. So we have the potential to be love, and that's the whole thing we're doing here. We're growing up. We are a chunk of consciousness. We have free will. Free will means you can choose poorly or you can choose well. The choice is yours. You can evolve, you can devolve. Your responsibility entirely to make good choices that move you toward evolution of your consciousness. So you can choose fear because you are fearful, and the fear makes you choose fear. So what you're going to do if you think something's going to harm you, then maybe you ought to go get it first. You know, that sort of thing. Well, that's fear reacting to fear. That would be a bad choice. Let's say that might be a bad choice. You know, you can make up stories around that, but let's say that sounds like it might be a bad choice. That is just the way we are. Now, if the more we grow up, the more we become love, the fewer of those kinds of poor choices that we do. You know, we do fewer and fewer. We're more love. We see connections. We care about people. You know, love becomes what we are. And it's hard for people then to irritate us. It's hard to get angry. It's hard to feel any of those things because it's just not in there anymore. It's not that you override it or that you learn to hide it under the rug. It's just not there anymore, those choices. But they are in the beginning. And that's what we're here for, to evolve. So you're saying, why? You know, it's kind of like we don't start at the end. We start at the beginning, and we have to work our way. We have to evolve. Consciousness is evolving. In order for it to grow, we have to grow. We're part of it. So that's why. Somebody would make a choice that's fear-based because that's just where they are. Somebody would have ego because that's just the point in this evolutionary process where they are. You know, everybody is not at the same place. We're all on our own path, doing our own thing, in our own way, in our own time. And that's the way it's supposed to be. We're all individuals. And some of us are struggling with this problem, and some of us have that problem licked, and we're struggling with some other problem. And it's not a good idea, I should say, now that I've differentiated that we're all on different paths. It's not a good idea to say, well, you know, I've come further than you have, you know, that sort of thing. To make a hierarchy of how evolved, you know, well, we're all at different levels of evolution, but we're all basically the same in the sense that we're all trying to do the best we can with what we've got. What we have is different. You know, we may be born with one leg or two. You know, what we come with is different. We may be poor or rich. We may have different circumstances, and we deal with it. And how we deal with it's important, what the circumstances are or not. So we're all kind of in the same boat together. It's not that, yes, we're all at different posts of evolution, but to see that in terms of a hierarchy, who's more evolved than who, is one of those poor choices. We don't want to see it that way. It's just that we're all doing the best we can with what we've got. And the more we can help each other, the better it is for all of us.
The Buddha was asked at one point if he was more evolved than the rest of humanity, and he absolutely said no. He said the only difference was he was awake. He was awake to the divine potential of the isness, the allness of life, and that was the only difference.
Yes, as soon as you get a hierarchy, you're creating ego food. And it feeds egos, and there's no value in it.
We all choose fear sometimes. It's a habit, and we just do. There are things in our life.
Sometimes in Christianity, or even in science of mind or unity, that we have the idea that God is love, and that we are created by that love, so therefore we are love. And sounds like the differentiation is that we have the potential to develop love. So perhaps you could talk about that.
Yeah, in unity we say our essence is love. Our very essence. We've come from the very energy of love, the creation of love. So our essence is love. we've learned in our culture from growing up through religion and our education, we've learned to fear. We live in a fear-based society. So we've learned it, but our essence never changes. Our essence has always been. So the potential, what I heard Tom say is that the potential for love has always been there. We just maybe verbalize it a little different. We say that's our essence. So it's there. And it's a matter of uncovering it. We've covered it up with our fears and our ego fears. We've covered it up. Now we're uncovering it day by day, one choice at a time. Every moment of the day we're at choice. Every choice we make is either some variation of love, and it's not like, well, here's love and here's fear. Here's love and here's fear. So there's variations and stages of love and fear, and every day we're making those choices, and it's a variation of one or the other. And yes, we either wake up to that and take responsibility for that and stay awake. We get back in our habits and we go through our day and think the thoughts that we've always been thinking. We've got that tape rolling around and that story we've been telling ourselves about that SOB over there, and I can't stand my boss, and my husband did this, and we got that story going on. And as long as that story goes on, we're living in fear. And until we say, wow, it isn't about them, it's about what I'm choosing. And he said this morning so clearly, nobody can change us, and nobody can help us transform. We have to make that choice and take that responsibility on.
I might make one other distinction that might be helpful to your question, and that is that the larger consciousness system itself is still evolving. It's not a done deal, you see. It's not like it's at the end and that we're going to evolve and one day we're at the end too and everything just kind of ends. What happens when it ends? Is that when we start floating on clouds with harps? I don't think so. The whole system is evolving. Mm-hmm. So we're part of the system, but the whole system itself isn't dead-ended, because in the game of evolution, there is no end. Evolution is an open-ended thing. You just become. And, as conditions or environments or backgrounds or needs, you become whatever you need to be, that sort of thing. Or you de-evolve and things get worse. So I think it is an entirely open-ended situation, is that the larger consciousness system is also moving toward lowest entropy state, as are we, you see. We are a part of it. Now, it certainly is a lot wiser and a lot more closer to being love than we are. See, it's created a lot of things, so it's not that, it's just like us but bigger. No, we're in elementary school, we're preschool, you see, and the larger conscious system is a system of love, but it's still evolving also. I mean, we're it. If it were perfect, we wouldn't be here, right? We are parts of it. We're not perfect, It's just all part of the evolutionary process. So I see it as a very complex evolutionary system that is continually evolving. And people ask me, well, where's the end point? When do we get to the end? I don't see an end point. It's evolution. It's just
so continues. Even love is evolving then?
Even love is evolving.
So the way we'll see love 100 years from now.
The way you express it, the way you can be it. Mm-hmm. We're kind of constrained in our culture and in our interactions and the way we think, the way we are. We don't believe we're so constrained, but we really are. Mm-hmm. And there's other ways of being, other kinds of expressions, other ways to, and it's all evolving. So it's not like we're a done deal. We think like that even with ourselves, our bodies. Okay, given that we started as cells and we went up through reptiles to, amphibians and to, mammals and so on. And here we are, the naked ape, sitting on the top of the evolution chain, and we say, well, we're done. Well, that's not so. Look at us 1 million years from now and see what are we going to be. We're going to be something else. 10 million years from now, 100 million years from now, we're going to be something else entirely. What are we going to be? Well, it'll be more fitting for whatever the environment is at that time, you see. And that's the way it is with consciousness. It's an evolving system. So when does the human shape get done? Never, you see. It just evolves. Sometimes evolution has to be faster than others. Sometimes things have to evolve, change more quickly to survive. And those that can't change quickly become extinct. Sometimes there's those sorts of pressures. But mostly the pressure is kind of gradual and slow, and everything just kind of changes as it needs to. So I see this as a natural system evolving, and we're part of that process. Now, obviously, the larger consciousness system is clever enough to create this virtual reality for us to play in. It's obviously a lot smarter than we are. We don't know how to do that, but it has evolved to be able to do that. And here we are, little chunks of it, and we're evolving the quality of our consciousness.